Hello, my name is Tom Colabufo, Superintendent of Schools here at Central Square. Approximately 2 weeks ago, in one of the parent-guardian update letters that I sent home, I mentioned something called chronic conditions of students. And I'm still receiving phone calls and emails and questions from parents regarding what that exactly means. So prior to the first day of school on September 10, I wanted to make sure that I made that crystal clear. So that's why I'm doing this video. And there's two other key reminders that I want to be able to again put in this video so there's no confusion before September 10, which is the first day of school. So, chronic conditions. On page 37 of the 145-page reopening guidance document from the State Education Department and the governor, it talks about chronic conditions. The title of that part on page 37 is Management of Ill Persons. I want to read that. Students and staff with symptoms of illness must be sent to the health office. Ideally, a school nurse, which is a registered professional nurse, RN, is available to assess individuals as chronic conditions such as asthma and allergies or chronic gastrointestinal conditions may present the same symptoms as COVID-19, but are neither contagious nor pose a public health threat. The reason why I say this is we have the ability to have documentation from your child's doctor that basically shows a chronic condition, asthma, allergies, or a gastrointestinal issue. If there are any other chronic conditions, we're asking you to please get that documentation from your child's physician to our school nurse. So if the student comes down with any of the symptoms that are COVID-19 symptoms, but could also be the symptoms of bad allergies, asthma, or gastrointestinal issues, the nurse can look at that and see the documentation from the doctor. So even though those symptoms may mirror each other, as long as there is no temperature of 100 or higher and the student is not in pain, that student can stay in school and the staff member can stay in school. So what are some of those symptoms from COVID-19 that parents are worried about because they also match their children's symptoms of, as I just said, allergies, asthma, or gastrointestinal issues? Here they are. Lingering headache, shortness of breath, muscle aches, diarrhea, sore throat, prolonged runny or stuffy nose, cough, fatigue, nausea. Now, other COVID symptoms are vomiting and loss of taste or smell. I don't really see how they would mirror chronic conditions, but I just wanted you to be able to hear all of the COVID-19 symptoms that are currently given to us by the State Education Department and the Health Department. So you can see the concern from some parents that have children that have seasonal allergies or really bad asthma or, stomach issues that could present some of those. So it's very important that you get that documentation. That is not a Central Square rule. We have not added any restrictions that are not part of that 145-page document that the governor has put out. But if a child comes down or a staff member comes to the nurse's office with those symptoms that I just read, they have to go home and they can't come back until they are cleared by their physician. I know that that's going to frustrate a lot of parents, and we have nothing that we can do about that, unfortunately. We have to follow exactly the mandates and the regulations that have come down. But that's why we're asking you, and that's why I put it in a letter 2 weeks ago. Please get that documentation from your child's doctor. The next thing that's also very important is we sent a mailing home just recently to parents where it's titled Transportation Questionnaire. We are not allowed to put a student on a bus that has a temperature of 100. So what this means is, besides the bus driver, we have another staff member that is going to be on every single bus. They are going to have a mask on, they are going to have gloves on, and they are going to have a touchless thermometer. They are going to get off the bus, take the temperature of the 22 students, not 64 students like we used to have on a bus. We only have 22 students, so that's going to speed the process up. They're going to take the temperature. If the student has a temperature below 100, they can board the bus. If the student has a temperature of 100 or higher, that staff member, not the bus driver, the staff member will escort the child back up the driveway and inform the parent and guardian that the child has a temperature of 100, they can't get on the bus. So we ask the parents to be proactive. Please, if it's possible, take the temperature of your child before they go to the bus to avoid that awkwardness of the student then having to be walked back away into the house. Some parents also have to leave work before their children get on the bus, even at the elementary level. And really what we ask is that if you have to do that, do two things. One, take their temperature before you leave. And two, on this form, it asks for a contact, emergency contact that is walking distance to your house, preferably a neighbor. So that staff member does not have to walk that child far. They can go right to the neighbor's house and they could say, you are the contact person listed by the parent. This child has a temperature of 100. Even though we don't know if it's COVID-19 or not, the child cannot get on the bus. Again, that is not a Central Square rule. These are the mandates that have been put forward to us. Also, students have to wear a mask at all times on the school bus. Why? Because they can only not wear a mask when they're 6 feet or further. So when they are within 6 feet, which could happen because on the bus you may have family members that are sitting next to each other. So now across the aisle on that window side, that distance is no longer 6 feet. It may be 4 feet or 5 feet, but it's not 6 feet. Plus, every time students are walking down the aisle to sit down, they are within somebody else's 6 feet. So they have to wear a mask on the buses at all times. The only exception to that is that if a parent gets a medical documentation from a doctor that basically says why the student cannot wear a mask, some type of medical condition, and then in that case, we will make sure that student, those students, are put in a spot on the bus that will always be 6 feet away from everybody. The other thing is that anytime students are 6 feet away in their classroom from anybody, the mask can come off. There will be times that the teachers will say, I need to come to assess your work. I'm going to come into your 6 feet area. Everybody put your masks on. But our goal is to make sure that students are not having to wear masks for prolonged periods of time. That is, we feel, is a very difficult thing to ask any very young child to be able to do. It's a difficult thing to ask any adult to do for a prolonged period of time. I want to make sure those things are crystal clear. I'm at the 7-minute mark and I want to end it there. I don't want to go any further. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact your child's principal or anybody at the district office, including myself at any time. Thank you so much.